Is it possible to look and move decades younger at 84? At first glance, it seems like it requires some special gene, expensive procedures, or a secret drug known only to a select few. But the story of an incredible woman named Brigitte Buth is fascinating for a different reason. Her lifestyle demonstrates that a youthful body isn't the result of one magical habit, but rather the result of years of giving your body the right stimuli. And most importantly, many of these principles are accessible to virtually everyone. In this video, we'll explore exactly what you should adopt if you want to not just live longer, but remain independent, active, and energetic for as long as possible. So, watch this video until the end. It'll be interesting and useful. So let's get started. The first thing to note in Brigitte's case is strength training. For her, it's not a secondary supplement to walking, but the foundation of physical activity. And this is especially interesting in the context of aging. After a certain age, a person gradually loses muscle mass and strength. This process is called sarcopenia. The problem isn't just that muscles get smaller, the ability to perform the most basic tasks declines. Rising from a chair, climbing stairs, maintaining balance, carrying groceries, opening a heavy door, or getting up from the floor. Therefore, strength in old age is essentially a component of independence. And here's an important nuance. Strength training is needed not only for those who want a toned physique. Its purpose with age is much deeper. When muscles are regularly exercised, the body receives a signal that these tissues are still needed. However, it's not necessary to turn training into a grueling ordeal. Brigitte adheres to a consistent and moderate level of physical activity, and this is a very important principle. For longevity, a system that a person can maintain for years is much more beneficial than a short period of extreme training followed by a break of several months. If you're starting to exercise after a long break, it's much wiser to gradually introduce exercises for the major muscle groups rather than immediately attempting to replicate a professional athlete's workout routine. In practice, this can be very simple. Several times a week, you can do squats or lighter versions, leg exercises, back pulls, chest and shoulder presses, and core exercises. The next principle is walking. Brigitte is a regular outdoors person and especially enjoys strolls by the water and in the sun. At first glance, a simple walk seems too simple to be called the secret to youth, but that's precisely its value. Walking is one of the most natural forms of movement, easily incorporated into everyday life. Regular walking helps maintain endurance, cardiovascular fitness, and overall physical activity. And walking outside has another important effect. It encourages us to sit less. Furthermore, exposure to daylight is associated with the regulation of circadian rhythms, or the internal biological clock, which influences sleep and wakefulness, among other things. However, it's important not to turn the sun into another anti-aging tool. Sunlight is essential for humans, but excessive UV exposure accelerates photoaging of the skin and increases the risk of skin damage. She smiles often and generally maintains a positive outlook. Of course, it's impossible to honestly say that smiling alone prolongs life by a specific number of years. It would be too simplistic to reduce longevity to positive thinking. But psychological state does matter for a person's quality of life and behavior. When a person maintains an interest in the world around them, communicates more often, continues to do what they love, and doesn't perceive age as a ban on activity, it's easier for them to maintain healthy habits. It's especially important not to confuse a positive outlook with constant happiness. A healthy mental attitude isn't an obligation to smile 24/7 and pretend your problems don't exist. Rather, It's about the ability to not turn age into a psychological death sentence. You can say to yourself, I'm already old, so I can't. Or you can ask, what can I do now given my age and abilities? These are two completely different behavioral strategies. Another interesting aspect of Brigitte is that she continues to take care of her appearance and dresses stylishly. At first glance, this has no connection whatsoever to longevity, but there's a psychological significance here that's often underestimated. Caring about one's appearance can be a form of self-esteem. When we choose clothes, take care of ourselves, and strive to look good, we don't thereby give up our own identity just because we're getting older. And this is more important than it seems. Sometimes people begin to perceive aging as the gradual disappearance of their former way of life. Fewer interests, less activity, less socializing, less desire to go out. And then this decline in activity itself begins to accelerate the loss of physical fitness. It's a vicious cycle. Caring about one's appearance alone won't stop aging, but it can support the opposite attitude. I'm still participating in life. There's another principle that unites almost all of Brigitte's behavior: consistency. In her story, there's no need to search for a single superfood, miracle supplement, or secret procedure. The most interesting thing here is precisely the absence of a single magic secret. Strength training works better as a regular habit. Walking is more beneficial when it becomes part of your daily routine. A varied activity makes sense when it's continued over months and years. A positive attitude isn't expressed in a single motivational phrase, but in your daily attitude toward yourself. This is why longevity often looks much less glamorous than we'd like it to. We're looking for an unusual product that supposedly can turn back the biological clock, when a real strategy consists of dozens of fairly ordinary decisions repeated over a long period. If you want to use Brigitte's principles now, don't start by trying to change your entire life in one day. For example, if you hardly exercise, add 2 moderate strength training sessions a week. If you sit a lot, start getting up and moving regularly throughout the day. If you rarely go for walks, make time for a stroll outdoors. Friends, what do you think of this woman? Write your opinion in the comments. If this video was useful to you, then please like it and share the link with those who might find it particularly useful. We also recommend watching this video that's currently appearing on your screen.